Welcome to FinLoop. All right, let's talk about the world's biggest economies. You probably think you know the lineup, right? The usual suspects. But what if I told you that the official rankings we all take for granted are, well, already out of date? Let's kick things off with a simple question, just to see what I mean.
So, quick question for you, right off the bat. Who is the world's third largest economy? Go ahead, take a guess. You're probably thinking Germany or maybe Japan. And you know what? Based on the way we usually measure these things, you wouldn't be wrong.
Because, yeah, if you look at the standard metric, GDP at market exchange rates, that's exactly what you see. The US is number 1, China's number 2, and there they are, Germany and Japan sitting at 3 and 4, and India all the way down at number 5. This is the map we all have in our heads. But here's the thing. What if we're looking at the wrong map entirely?
To see the real picture, you have to understand a concept called purchasing power parity, or PPP. It sounds complicated, but it's pretty simple. Instead of just converting currencies, PPP asks a better question. What can your money actually buy? Let me break it down. Think about a cup of coffee. That $5 you spend in New York, well, the equivalent of that in New Delhi might get you 3, maybe even 4 cups. PPP accounts for that real-world difference.
So, what happens when we use this much more accurate PPP yardstick to re-rank the world's economies? Well, everything changes. China actually leaps into the number 1 spot. The US slides to number 2. And, here's the big reveal, India skyrockets to number 3. That's not a typo. When you measure what an economy can actually produce and buy, India is already the 3rd largest on the planet, ahead of Japan and Germany. The map has been completely redrawn.
Okay, so India is already number 3. That's a huge deal. But the story doesn't stop there. It's not just about where they are now, it's about the incredible speed at which they're moving forward. This isn't just a big economy, it's a fast one.
I mean, just look at these projected growth rates for 2025. India is forecast to grow at a blistering 6.2%. Now look at China, 4.0%. And the US, just 1.8%. We're talking about an economy that's set to grow more than 3 times faster than America's. That's not just growth, that's an economic afterburner.
Let's put that speed into context, because this is where it gets really wild. Right now, India is the 3rd largest economy by PPP. That's a fact on the ground. But if these trends continue, projections show that by 2038, that's just over a decade away, India's economy could actually overtake the US economy. Yeah, you heard that right. This isn't some far-off future. This shift is happening on our watch.
So you have to ask, what's the fuel in this rocket ship? A huge part of the answer, maybe the biggest part, is people, demographics. Because while most of the developed world is getting older, India has a secret weapon that almost no one else does. It's youth. And the difference is just staggering.
Just think about it. Let's start with Japan. The median age there, almost 50, 49.8 to be exact.
Then you've got Germany, an industrial giant. Their median age is 45 and a half.
The US is a bit younger, but we're still looking at a median age of 38.5.
And then there's India. Their median age is just 28.8. Let that sink in. That's a full decade younger than the US and 20 years younger than Japan. This isn't just a statistic. It's what economists call a demographic dividend, a massive, energetic workforce that's going to be driving consumption and innovation for decades to come.
All right, so a young population is one massive advantage. But there's another piece to this puzzle, and it's a big vulnerability for the old guard: debt. Piles of it. And when you compare the fiscal health of these giants, you see 2 completely different stories unfolding.
Just look at these trajectories. On one side, you have the US. Their debt-to-GDP ratio is already over 120%, and it's projected to keep climbing, hitting 137% by 2040. Now look at India. They're starting lower, at around 81%, but the forecast shows it falling, dropping to under 68%. It's incredible. One country is on an upward escalator of debt, and the other is riding a downward one.
And this isn't just my take. The EY report, where a lot of this data comes from, puts it really clearly. They say, quote, India is the only case among the 5 where the government debt-GDP ratio is projected to fall. The only one. That gives them a level of fiscal stability that is just unheard of among the top economies right now.
Okay, so let's tie this all together. We've got a young population, we've got falling debt. But in a crazy, uncertain world with trade wars and supply chain shocks, how does this actually make an economy resilient? What makes it tough?
Let's look at a classic powerhouse like Germany. They're an export machine, right? But look at this. Over half their entire economy, 50.9% of their GDP, depends on selling things to other countries. Now that's awesome when global trade is smooth sailing, but when things get choppy, it can become a huge vulnerability.
Now let's flip over to India. Exports? They're just 23.3% of the economy. See the difference? That means the engine of India's growth isn't in a shipping container headed overseas, it's right there at home.
And that's the key right there. That lower dependence on exports means India's economy is driven by its own massive domestic market. It acts like a built-in shock absorber, so when global trade disputes flare up or tariffs start flying, India is just naturally more insulated from the storm.
So let's just put it all on the table. What are India's core strengths right now? 1. The youngest population among the major economies. 2. A government debt that's actually on a downward path. 3. A high and stable rate of investment. And 4. An economy fired up by its own massive domestic demand. You put all that together, and that is one powerful formula for the future.
So it really leaves you with a big question, doesn't it? The economic map we've all been using for the last 50 years is literally being redrawn in front of us. The old giants are facing new challenges, and a new titan is clearly on the rise. So as you think about the future, the real question is, where are the biggest opportunities going to be in the next decade? Subscribe to FinLoop for more short-form insights on finance, investing, and global markets.